A great conversation. We're just so pleased we're able to continue it now with you involved. And today is live stream strategy event. And our whole direction is guided by your comments, by your desire to have some quality takeaways for your investment of time, effort, and resources. And with that said, I'm also so honored to have Kelle with me. I can't tell you, it's been, I'd say 53 Thursdays in a row since we started. And then Kelle has started her show about 4, 5, 6 months ago, The Awesome Journey, with Christy Howard, who was here so many times and is still here supporting the show and commenting. With that said, we also have Chad with us, Burmeister, and I had the opportunity to Zoom, as we always do here, and get to know him, and found that he had a significant skill set and a specialty that could have significant value if you're looking to leverage LinkedIn, and in addition to it, complement live streaming or vice versa with it, and have a more robust approach to the marketplace. So with that said, chat's open, feel free. I'll have Chad go first, and his ability to kind of share some context and also his first thoughts on live streaming.
Yeah, so thank you for having me today, Kelle. It's great to be here with you as well. I've been at this for 7 years, focused on AI in sales. In fact, I submitted for a trademark on AI for sales 7 years ago, and then personalization at scale powered by AI. I submitted for that trademark and got it. So been at this for a while. When I first started bringing it to market, think back 7 years ago, nobody was thinking about AI in sales and marketing. It was at the bottom of the stack. So I would come out and say, all right, put my AI in a room with your best seller, and let's write 1,000 emails in 1 hour, and let's see who gets the better open and reply rate. And everyone, I know a lot of people in the sales industry, a lot of good leaders who run good tech companies. They're like, there's no way a human could write 1,000 emails in an hour. And I said, yeah, that's kind of my point. But okay, I'll give them 8 hours. How's 8 hours? They still can't do 1,000 emails in 8 hours that are personalized. I go, okay, how about I give them a week? And they were like, yeah, maybe. And I said, okay, you can have a week. I'll give my AI 1 hour, and then we'll see what the opens and replies are. They're like, well, that's not fair. And they're like, well, Chad, you're going to disrupt the whole industry. What are you talking about? Why would you do this? And I'm like, you don't understand. It's coming, and you're either going to embrace it or you're not. So I open with that story. I hadn't even thought of that before today in a while. And now we're here, right? Where I attended a trade show in Vegas, a marketing show, and marketing and sales are starting to overlap more than they did in the past. And I was super intrigued because every other session was how to use AI, how to use AI. One guy, Roland Frazier, it would have taken 100 people an entire year to do what they did in 10 days, and they made $483,000. I can't give you all the specifics because he told us about 15 strategies using AI, but all I can tell you is we're in for some serious disruption, and it's better to be at the tip of the wave rather than getting crushed by it.
So perfect, because it's happening. Do you want to be on the right side of it, moving forward, on the wrong side of it, looking at it leaving the station? So Kelle, what's your news?
Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. This is going to be an awesome conversation for me because I love this. And I think there's so many ways that we can go with this. And I love what you said, about sales and marketing kind of more coming together. And I've actually always operated that way, whether it was with my sales team, business development, because together you have to have a strategy that you all agree upon. But you all independently have to have certain goals. And with AI, I feel like people, and same with live streaming, people who don't understand it or don't know are afraid of it. Because what we don't know, we like to minimize, or we're like, ooh, I don't know about that. I'm not down with it. AI is scary. It's only scary when people use it improperly, in multiple ways. And in speaking and staying in this conversation in the business realm, what drives me nuts is when people go to whatever AI platform they're using and they type in, produce an email thread or an email campaign that it consists of 25 emails, whatever it is, that sells my product, whatever it is. And then they generate all the emails. That's what everybody's doing, people. So you're all using the exact same content, and we can all tell. Like, and I know that because I'm a marketer, I can see it more so because I use the tool. But what you still have to personalize it and give it your tone, your brand, your personality. You have to do those things. And there are several strategies on how to do that as well, but you can't just use it out of the box. I mean, that's the part where people do need to reach out to a professional who has done it, who can help you with that. Because when utilized properly, just like you just said, you can do something in 10 minutes that would take someone, I mean, literally a year to do otherwise. And I've worked with clients that are just very old school and are insistent upon generating their own emails, and it takes forever. And it's like, y'all, we're behind on the automation now. You need to speed this up. And I also think that's something people also misinterpret is AI as opposed to automation, because automation is a separate thing from, but when worked together, I mean, they're amazing. Especially when you do A/B testing. I mean, there's so many different things to do. And as a marketer, and I think also as a salesperson, and really any business mind should be excited by this stuff, not afraid of it. How can I best utilize this tool to benefit my business? And because it's not a matter of you decide not to do it, you're gonna have to adopt it at some point. That's just my initial thoughts.
Well, and I think that when you really add the human touch to that too,
Yeah.
When you really are good or an expert at relationship building, and before the show, Chad was saying about his philosophy, which is give, give, and then get.
Yes.
It's really turning it around because most people are like they feel they've been cheated, they're going to get cheated. So they need money in hand, or you do something first and guarantee a bunch of stuff, and then they'll move forward. But that's the worst way to get into a relationship based on total distrust. So,
and my little addition, I guess, this time around too, because anybody who does follow me, one of my biggest things of late is about the pitch slap. I cannot stand it, and people need to stop doing it. When we connect, and if you're immediately trying to sell me a strategy or your product or service, you don't even know what my strategy is or what I'm working on. So how on earth can you solve a problem that you don't even know exists? So stop it.
Well, I think the benefit to them is that they distinguish and differentiate us from the people who only have seen them. And all of a sudden, hey, there's honest people out there doing value-added work, right? Where you could make money with and for people as opposed to off of people. And you could generate more income, more everything with less players doing more together. So it's also bringing a collaborative group, because by the time I would know what Chad does, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And I think when you make the distinction between, well, it takes a machine an hour and it takes people a year, it's not just a time differential. That's crummy work, right? Mm-hmm. That's work. You just give it to a machine, you get it out, it's a pleasure. You got a team of 50 people working away 8 hours a day for a year on nothing, knowing there's something that could have done it in an hour. And how, as a leader, are you looking to your people if you're still bringing legacy into the future? It's the people who adopt the new. Luckily for me, I've had a long background. I remember the fax machine. And it took people a while to trust that. The joke was, who did the first fax machine buyer fax something to?
Yeah, that's right. Well, from a technology standpoint, I'm rolling out a new customer. We had a meeting yesterday, another one today, and they help companies like Dish Network, CNBC, NFL, major companies that have mobile and web apps. Traditionally, they had to have thousands of people on hand to troubleshoot if there's a problem with the app. Nowadays, you flip that and you say, okay, let's monitor the behavior of the phone, of where the users are going and what they're clicking, and then troubleshoot from that side first, and then go back to the problem. So they saved 64,000 man hours for one company last year, one of those big ones. And a lot of people are still holding on. Well, wait, we like all our people in the Philippines and in India, and we've got a few call centers. And it's like, what does the customer really want and need? They need speed to the web app. They need it to work. They want to. And so now they're talking to gaming companies that are doing, not gambling gaming, but like online web gaming. And if you can say, my point of telling that story is that in the sales and marketing realm, if you can use technology to enhance the IT function, then just imagine what's possible with the marketing and sales side of the house.
Well, and you're so right, because here's the thing. We're sitting on LinkedIn with everybody else on LinkedIn. We're not selling LinkedIn. Everybody's here. Everybody who's doing something is doing something. What are you getting for it? What's the future of it? And what's your time and your life worth, right? If this is just idle recreation, and there's a lot of that, and it works well, and those people have found the group they need to align with. But if you're really serious about your business, and your business is kind of your identity and future at a certain point, why wouldn't you want to keep optimizing and upgrading by the day? And the easiest way is because you can do pay for performance just-in-time services, right? So you're not having a fixed expense or an obligation. You're just when it works. And I think that's going to be the key, is being able to bundle, and package. Hey, you can have an AI element. You can have a live stream element. And here's the experts. And then everybody gets a broader spectrum, but more importantly, they're pre-qualified, right? You've had a chance to see them over time, see how they respond, because really people want to be with people they like to be with, first of all. After that, hey, if you can learn something and do something, hey, that's great. So, Kelle, I think these conversations are getting so exciting, because we're getting individuals who are far advanced in certain fields and areas. And, if you can pick up a piece here and a piece there and add it to the pieces you already got, that could make game-changing opportunities develop.
Yeah, and I think, so many good points there that I can go on about. But, people can be overwhelmed too. There's so much has changed. I don't even know where to start, because it can feel overwhelming. Live streaming by itself sounds scary because it has the word live in it. But I will say, and here's another way to compare the two. This is why the tone and the personality of the AI content that you're creating needs to match your brand. Because if I watch a webinar, a live stream, whatever, and you're talking about your product and it doesn't match, I'm now confused. And you don't want to confuse your market. So you really do need to be careful about your messaging. And I think the other thing that scares people from a business perspective is, I don't want AI overtaking all these positions. Like, it's going to put more people out of work and out of the job market. And I do see a lot of copywriters on LinkedIn that do talk about AI a lot. And that's their whole point is, you can't start AI by just typing in your description, because even that, I will say, you have to understand what to put in. It's not just that you go there and say, give me this email campaign, because it will give you a generic, blasé, no nothing. Not saying it's not a great place to start, because I'm one of those, if I'm stuck or I just want to get something done, I would be like, just get me a draft. I don't even care how good or bad it is, because if you have something to start with, you've got something to start with. But there is an art to understanding how to use the tool. And then I do this all the time, even with AI generated images, which I get a kick out of, because sometimes I'm like, how in the heck did it come up with that for my image? And sometimes it, excuse me, it does generate some weird stuff. And it's like a lot of times it'll give me 2 bills on my hat, or I'll have 2 left hands and a right hand. So it does do some weird things on an occasion, but you need to understand how to use it, but then don't be afraid of it. You don't have to go all in all at one time. And we say that about everything. Figure out a strategy, roll it out. You don't have to dive in the deep end. Nobody's saying that. Because I do think it scares people, especially people who, and this happens in a lot of businesses, regardless of you put in AI or not. They get used to how they do things. And that's been one of my least favorite statements that business people can use, is because that's the way we've always done it. So that doesn't mean we need to continue to do it that way. So I just think it's about opening our mind to new things and talking to people who've done it. Reach out and say, you know what? Hey, I don't know how to do this. I see that you do it all the time. Can we have a conversation? And that's the beauty of LinkedIn. And that's when I started last year doing the live streams, not just the live streams, but my focus last year was, I want to make more meaningful connections on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has changed dramatically, specifically since 2020, because it's not just an online business card anymore. It very much used to be that you would post, I would start my morning with LinkedIn articles that were in my industry. And because you used to be able to sort, industry articles, and I would get the top news for the day, scan through it. You don't do that anymore. I don't even think they have that anymore, actually. You can search articles by other people, but I used to be able to search news articles. But now it's actually a platform that is a lot of people's main focus, social media, which is why there's so many personal things. People are having conversations about mental health, which is what we focus on a lot on the Awesome Journey, because our personal lives are part of our business life, because it spills over. You can't really separate the two. So I think it has a totally different personality and in connection, and you need to make them be meaningful and purposeful. Have a conversation with people. I have so many incredible connections just with that approach of having more conversation and having people reach out. Don, I know, is 100% this way. Anyone who reaches out to him, he will do a Zoom call. And I do the same. I don't get him as much as Don does for a lot of things. But what are you here for if you're not trying to gain clients, you've got to be here for a reason for your business or to get a job. And we've talked about that too, how powerful live streaming can also be for a job seeker and or recruiter. Because when you see people and hear them talk, you connect with them different than when you go read their profile. Because we read based on our own perception of what we're reading. We don't know the intent. But when you see someone, you can hear their tone, hear the inflection, and all those things. So I think you have a deeper connection with a live stream. But I think the combination of the two is
Kelly, one thought that came up when you were talking about AI, something that for the listeners here today, I run a podcast called AI for Sales, and the co-host worked for a company called Truversity. Joe Papa, he wrote a book on AI in business. He runs a virtual meetup. He runs a physical meetup for 2 to 3 days. They're doing one in Utah, I think in May. Find someone who's aggregated all of the AI concepts and ideas, because it's hard to go piecemeal and say, hey, can you share me your top 2 thoughts? I do it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I become an aggregator also. But why not go to the aggregator that is able to say,
Yeah.
all right, if you're doing prospecting, here's some things you should think about. If you want to get your brand out and, go to one of those 2 to 3 day classes. I saw Jordan Belfort, that movie Wolf on Wall Street. He came out with one, and, a lot of the who's who are becoming aggregators of this technology and approach. On the live streaming side, I'll make a comment here, and you'll appreciate this from the marketing side. For 3 years, I've done 2 podcasts, hundreds of guests, and that content sits on a YouTube channel. It gets posted. I use tools like video.ai and Opus to create smaller clips. I'd never really invested for 5 years in SEO related stuff. And so I'm sitting on all this amazing content and live streams just like this one, but doing it from a seller's perspective. When I started enlisting some help from marketing, my HubSpot is lit up now with inbound leads because we're creating MQLs as a result of all that content that I was sitting on. So I can't encourage highly enough. And there's technologies and companies that can do it for using AI in a very low cost way to leverage this kind of content to get it out to more people.
Well, I think you make such wonderful points because they're true for one thing, and they're demonstrating themselves in reality for another thing. So it's not a matter of, is this valuable? And it's not a matter, is this a fad or a trend? It's a matter of when do you get involved and how do you get involved and who do you get involved with? And what I found about being significant in e-commerce is don't make people think, don't make people work. Be the interface, right? Connect them with the people they should connect with programs that everybody can integrate in some way, shape, or form. So it's really, being open to change. But the next step is opening other people up to change. And the best way to do that is to get in front of them. I've done 600 of these in probably, in 620 days. So doing every day, 7 days a week for 2 years was incredible looking back. But, it was so much fun every day to wake up to do it. And if I would have said, oh, geez, I got 100 more to go, that would have crushed me. Right. But when you're comfortable, you're happy. But more importantly, when the people you're just getting introduced to just go crazy with this stuff. I mean, 20 people who never appeared on a show in 6 months now have their own shows. And now my whole preoccupation is getting people their own plane and getting them up and in orbit, because you know what? They never really leave. They come back with their information and their stories, and they connect back with your stories. And I think really, if you want a serious business or you want to help a serious business, you have to make an investment. And the first investment is a commitment to work it the right way, right? Not to buy a ticket and go home and hope it works. So before we get too far into it, let's get into the audience. Carrie's here, was the first one, wins the door prize today. I don't see the driver nuts. Renadeb's calling in from India. Good morning to see you all from my side. Always does the same 2 comments every time. Wonderful.
He's been doing a lot of comments lately.
What's that?
He's been doing a lot of comments lately.
Oh, the other time he just blew the
I know.
Carol's here. This is our poster child for success as a live streamer. He came on as a audience member maybe 3 months ago, joined a new collaboration group, 3 weeks ago launched his show, huge success, and launched his newsletter, does a newsletter every day. If you work LinkedIn works for you. If you work live streaming, it works for you, but you got to have the pieces together, because a show without an audience is you talking to you. Right? A show without value is an audience not going to show up the next day. And then eventually you want to build a community. And ultimately, it sounds counterintuitive, you want to be a boutique, right? You want to just work with the people who are totally already with you in what they're doing and how we can come together to do more with what everybody's skill set is. So, Kelly, got a great crowd.
Yeah.
Carol's always happy to, very old for a poster child. Well, not yet. Not
Oh, you're never too old to be a poster child.
Yeah, not in our minds, Carol. You're about
That's right.
23. Okay, Kelly.
Yeah, so many things there. I do feel one of the things I want to say, because some people can think, oh, I can use AI as a shortcut to do things, which yes, that's true. But I also tell people, be careful, because you can't use it thinking that you can shortcut certain things. And the example I'm going to use, I have a client that's in institutional investment, and you can put in content and ask it to rewrite it. Well, it'll rewrite it, but it's not correct because it doesn't really know. Now, granted, it's been a while since it's been updated, but two, it doesn't know the nuances of super. Now, I'm sure there's probably tools that you could upgrade and pay a lot of money for that that are specific to that. But be careful. Don't go thinking, oh, I can get clients now from any industry because I know how I can just plug it in and generate something out. It's not always accurate. So you do have to be careful. It's not a replacement of having to read some things. It is a plug and play. I will 100% say that, which is a lot different than your manual hours. And it will cut down manual hours, but do be careful with that. And I think one of the other points that you were making, Dom, which I think is so important, and to reiterate it, if somebody would have said to you, Don Cohen, I want you to do 623, whatever the number is, in a row live streams, you would have been like, oh, heck no. I'm not up for that challenge, because it sounds too daunting. You just took it a day at a time, and it ended up being 623 in a row. And that's how any new thing that you put into play should be. Don't get overwhelmed by everything being perfect, because I think that's something that we can tend to bind ourselves with. Dawn and I had no idea when I started doing this last January. I didn't know where it was going. I just knew I want to figure this out. I want to understand what's happening. I want to see how the audience responds, and learn from it. And sometimes you need to do that. And that really is what sales and marketing is you do something and you learn from the data. And I'm a big data nerd. So, I mean, it's right up my alley. And I just think those are two very important points is, take it one day at a time. Don't be overwhelmed by it. And then two, don't think it can just ultimately replace something. Or that you can shortcut certain things, because it can do you wrong. Because if you don't understand the vernacular of certain things, how on earth are you going to be able to edit what it's produced for you if you don't understand? Because some of the differences that it spit out for me were significantly incorrect. So it's not just like, it was a minor boo-boo where we just need to swap a few words. It completely made it incorrect. So, so that's a little just additional tip right there.
Well, Chad, what's your next tip?
Oh man. So the newsletter, let's touch on that for a second, because I think that's a underrated asset and leverage that you can have. I was paying a company to do email newsletter, and when you go 1,000 to 2,000, it's one level, then you go up above, and there's all these brackets. So I'm all of a sudden paying $150 a month. And if you look at it, a lot of it goes into spam. It doesn't really get read. And I was like, well, I don't want to lose any leads from that process. So then I just said, something's got to give here. So one day I just spent about 20 minutes and I researched LinkedIn newsletter. And I was like, oh, how cool is this? You just post and write an article and put in an image. And literally within like 30 minutes, you just hit refresh on your browser and it was like, oh, I have 50 subscribers, 100, 200. Within about a day, I have 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. I've been working at it for 15 to 20 years. So within a day or two, I had 3,000. We're now at 3,500. And the beauty of it is when you fill one out, so I do it every Saturday. it emails all 3,338 people every Saturday, right? Not just a post on LinkedIn, but an actual email. And how cool is that, knowing that it's going to get through? Because think about it, LinkedIn's ability to get through spam filters is a heck of a lot better than my ability to get through spam filters. So when you piggyback onto the LinkedIn newsletter, now when I do my podcast, the team creates show notes. So I don't even have to come up with what the copy is. For a while there, I'm like, oh, shoot, every Saturday, 30 minutes at 6 a.m., I'm going to work on my newsletter. Now I go in and copy and paste the show notes. I upload the picture that the team gives me, and then I push submit. Frankly, I should be outsourcing even that 5 minutes of work to the team that's doing it for me. But how cool is that to know you're getting 3,000 plus people viewing your information every week? So if you're not doing newsletters, it's not hard. Talk to Don. I'm sure he can.
Yeah,
help
well, I'll show you something. Showing is better than telling. I just launched my second newsletter yesterday, which is the live stream strategy newsletter. So it's just tied weekly to the show. So you can see, if you can see, my regular newsletter got 11,692 subscribers so far. In 24 hours, this newsletter's gotten 3,149 subscribers, and it's still going. And let me just...
It's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was 3,149. And then if we go here, see 30, it's the subscribers are up 245,000% in the last 7 days, right here. So, there is so much you can do in what LinkedIn does. And the reason this happened is because I watched another YouTube actually 2 days ago. And it was Shanae Monet, if you know her. And what was incredible about it, and by the way, if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, you'll get, and I had the one that has 11,000 is a daily newsletter. This is a weekly newsletter. And so anyway, she went into her speech, and she only focused on two things: live streaming and newsletters. And she says, you're entitled to 5 newsletters. The thing is, someone would say, well, I already got a newsletter. What do I need another one for? And I'm not even really using my newsletter. Well, the reason I've got 3,500 connections or subscribers, I haven't done a thing. What you have to do, you create the newsletter. It only activates when you do your first newsletter, right? So if you create a newsletter, you don't do a newsletter, nothing happens. It's just there. Once you do it on your first newsletter, they alert everybody, all your connections, one time, that first time. And that's where they start you out with a base. So if you had a new one, now you've got connections for a specific thing, plus you still have your other thing. And then how do you leverage that? So what I'm saying is, what me and Kelle and Harvey are trying to put together is a real best practices, hands-on, have your own theme show, and be off and running in about 8 weeks. And actually my ticker is, let's develop your theme live stream. I mean, we're sitting here in our jets telling you we can get you a jet in 6 to 8 weeks. And you could fly as high as you want, talk as much as you want, bring as many people as you are aligned with you. Cut through, the posting, commenting, liking is like the Pony Express, right? It's so pops them up, picks them up, so insincere. It's like mush, right? Why not get right to the heart of it? Where you want to go, have a show going in that direction. Chad, well, let me just cover Harvey. Harvey took precedence over Carl because he was the second one after Kelle to really blast off. And he's now #1 franchise show in only a couple months. He is actually the facilitator and aggregator for his show. He's booked up till August already. Can't say enough about Harvey, and working with him is a dream. Hello, I'm
And I think
sorry.
he was
Go
just
ahead.
in the top. I think he was also just named in the top 100 franchise influencers.
Yeah, and Harvey's still learning and growing in franchising. So you don't have to be you just have to be the organizer, the facilitator, and now you've got a platform and a channel in addition. So it's an either and strategy. Renadeb's now into commenting. Thank you, Renadeb. He's so consistent. Organizations may hold strategic planning retreats, typically offsite, to focus on developing and refining their long-term strategies, for sure. Linda's here, wonderful lady, in every way. Got in to say hello, but just caught last of chat on newsletter. Darn internet. Renadeb comes back with many different organizations hope annual strategy meetings to review previous year's performance, set new objectives, establish strategic direction, and attending different industry-specific conferences can provide opportunities for sure. And that's really the key. You only got so much time, you only got so much thought, and you only got so much resources. Where are you investing in it? Is that the future? And are you going to be part of the future, or are you going to be lagging behind? It's just directional at a certain point. So, Chad, pretty stimulating conversation we're having here today.
Yeah, pretty interesting. One other thought that comes to mind here is most people reach out and say, "Hey, Kelly, I see we're in the same industry. We work with ABC Co, XYZ, and PDQ Co, right?"
Yes.
If you approach it more from an interest perspective, like leveraging groups on LinkedIn, the top person that I'm working with right now, her name is Barbara Breon, and she's a pastor. She's written 4 books. And the latest one is called Blooming for Christ. And so I helped her set up her campaign that says, "Hey, I see we're both part of a Christian group on LinkedIn. Let's connect." She gets an 88% connection rate because like-minded people.
That's right.
I was in Charlotte this Monday and Tuesday, North Carolina, and I showed this audience. The guy said, "Hey, I'm a veteran." I was like, "Okay, perfect. Let's focus on that." Instead of saying, "Hey, I help coach sales organizations to help them become 30% more efficient." "Hey, I see we're both veterans. Let's connect." Once you're in on the common ground, then you give, like we talked about. "Hey, I thought I'd invite you to this live stream that's weekly, really high value. Come check it out." That's a give, right? And it's not related to my company. It's just, go check this out. Then you wait 3 or 4 days and you send another give. "Hey, I thought you might be interested in this." By that time you've done 3 or 4 of those, now that person, a lot of times I find I never even get to the ask. They just come back and say, "Yeah, let's meet. Kelly, this is awesome. I love the content you've shared. You seem like a valuable resource and different than everybody else that's out there." And that's kind of how we got connected, Dawn. I mean, your approach is lead with the give. "Hey, let's have a Zoom. And then would you like to come on the show?" And the strategy that I experienced is exactly what I've found works for the last several years on doing this. It's just human nature. People, it's better to do a give than an ask. So if you're asking on the first LinkedIn connection request, stop it.
It's also not only, it's easier, but here's where I think people miss the other half of the picture. So many people want to overwhelm somebody or impress somebody with whatever they are or whatever they're doing, instead of thinking, "Hey, I need to qualify everybody first, right? For my own benefit. So why not slow it down, get to know somebody before you commit to anything or have to commit to anything." And, I believe, people should have free will and free choice, right? So everybody in their own time and place will determine when it's right for them. And then that's when it's right for you and them. You've got to serve and not worry about being served. You got to have enough fortitude to say, "Hey, if everybody eats here and I don't, I'm cool with that." And eventually people will, out of either guilt or out of obligation or desire, take care of you. It's human nature. like Chad says, is if you do good for somebody and better than anybody else's, you're going to get more of their time and their attention and their appreciation. And eventually it says, selfishly unselfish, if I want to keep this going, I got to at least thank this person or show some gratitude or give a little gift or just say I appreciate it. And I think that's where people should start, is being more selective at the beginning. That's why styling these shows like Beverly's into women's empowerment. Well, Tuesdays are Women's Empowerment Day, and it attracts women who are interested in women's empowerment, but it also attracts thought leaders who want to be around those people because they don't want to be part of a crowd that's just a cheering group for whatever excitement. I think serious people want to get serious activities with serious other people doing something they can see has value. And, a lot of people don't have the goods. They got the desire, they feel they're smart. I mean, 6 months ago, I was doing the show, thought I knew everything. And now I found out how little I knew, but I was still excited by what I knew because it's still more than 99 point whatever percent out there. And here's the other thing, the numbers are on your side. If you start with 1 billion on LinkedIn register, we're not talking about YouTube or Facebook that you can pair your channels and connect to, but we're saying only 12% do anything, only 1% create content, only 36,000 newsletters. How many live streams? And people are starving for reality, for real conversation and real time, for interaction. Why bother with those other steps? So, Chad, this is getting really heated up. Where do we go from here? How do you?
So let's talk a little bit about automation versus AI, because Kelle brought that up a little bit ago in the conversation. And to date, a lot of, we had BDR.ai 6-7 years ago. We purchased the domain, and SDR.ai, which stands for Business Development Representative. And so I was always about how do we automate and add AI augmentation to more of the process.
Yeah. About
6 weeks ago, I uncovered through one of my Christian groups that I'm part of, as luck would have it, an AI-powered Facebook prospector. So we're not talking automation in this case. So let me differentiate for the listeners here. And this is important to understand where things are headed. So traditionally, let's load my list on LinkedIn. Here's 1,000 people I want to connect with. Hey, Kelle, we have similar interests. Let's connect. We wait 3 days. Hey, you might be interested in this free download. It's a book I wrote 7 years ago. Have it. If you want, I'll send you a copy that's signed. Like gives. So, but I have to come in and answer and respond to those questions that Kelle responds with. AI powered now says, all right, I've got ChatGPT 4. All I have to do is fill out about 15 questions, FAQ about my company. What's the goal of this campaign? What are the products? And I can have up to 10 on each of these different sections. All I have to do as the seller or the prospector is fill out hello or hey, and then first name. So it's like a mail merge on email. Right. Then I fill in 2 or 3 variations for the second part. Notice we're both part of a Christian group. I see you are a Christ follower. So, you could build out 3 or 4 variations of the middle text to open, and then the end. Love to connect sometime and share notes on the projects we're both working on. So that's all I have to program, answer the questions. And then the next step is I go to Facebook groups and I go, oh, Christian group, 12,000 people. Or, oh, there's a post that's relevant with 500 likes and comments. So you click a button, all those people get pulled into the software, and then you click go. The AI now has the interaction on my behalf with all those people, has the conversation on my behalf, and drives them to whatever it is I want to call to action. Come check out our live stream would be a good call to action. Book me on a one-on-one like we had done. So I share that because I'm still in beta mode, right? There's still some glitchy things that occur when we're running this, but think about fast forward 3 months from now, or even a year from now, AI can read your LinkedIn profile, There's a tool called Remotely Me. There's another one that does your bank code called Code Breaker. It can know, powered by AI, what your personality profile is. Do you like
Mhm.
bullets? Are you audio? Are you visual? Are you kinesthetic? So imagine when an AI bot's chatting with you, it reads your profile and it can now mold to become more like how you want to be communicated with. So I bring it up because it's fascinating,
Yeah.
scary at the same time.
Mhm.
How much manipulation is going to be going on out there. But, all technology, when used for good, is good. And,
That's right.
a sword, a gun, whatever you have could be used for bad. So it's
Right.
important as we roll out AI to have an ethical oversight. I'm trying to phrase it. CEO is the chief ethics officer in companies. The country kind of needs a chief ethics officer.
Oh,
I mean,
more than
goodness
one.
gracious.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chad. When are you going to do your live stream?
Well, I've been on several and I have 2 podcasts and I love the concept of the live stream. I've had very good interactions. I've attended one called Faith Friday on Fridays.
Oh yeah,
That's what
me too.
first got me into understanding that, these things are real. And
That's an audio room.
yeah, it's an audio podcast. Yeah,
I've
or
been
audio
there.
live stream.
Yeah.
What I love is you got to be different in anything that you do. So this as a venue is, it's still not widely known out there. The
Yeah.
other little secret, why would LinkedIn help us generate 3,000 people or 11,000 in your case? And I'll tell you a secret of why it is. Kelly, what do you think? Quiz of the day. Why does LinkedIn help us so much to drive people to our newsletters and to our live streams? Why do they want that?
Because the longer people are on their platform, the more money they make. They want you here.
Yes, ding ding. It's advertising dollars.
Yeah,
So think
100.
about Facebook. People are on that tool for 2-3 hours a day. Some cases, my children at school are probably on it longer than that at college. But LinkedIn hasn't had that, people logged in for hours at a time. So anything they can do to encourage people to be on consuming content is what they're after. So we might as well take advantage of that and be part of it rather than sitting on the sideline.
Well,
Which is why it's important too. They want engagement. So when you comment on someone else's post, that's why you should always have them tagged. You're replying to the person, so you're letting the person know that you've commented on their post, and because they want you to have conversation. Again, because it's the longer you keep people there. And one of the other points I wanted to exemplify, because I think it's so important, is how you said about reaching out to people for connections. I do this all the time. Hey, I've been seeing you comment on such and such's post. I just so happen to do a live stream that has a lot of focus on veterans and first responders. Would love to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And people always do. And it's interesting because I didn't think of it until you were saying all this. My pronoun is believer, and I believe yours is entrepreneur believer,
Yes.
which I think is fantastic. But yeah, finding those like connections or that like-mindedness, because then it feels more personal, because then people know, and this is for me too, because when people send me something, hey, I've been seeing you on this, or I've been seeing you in the live streams, love what you're saying, would love to connect. Because then I know that you've actually read my profile, not just sending me the 8-paragraph initial email that you can solve all my problems. Which my feeling is, if you know all my problems before we even have a conversation or you look at my profile, you need to quit this job and go buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Because
the ones that say, we can help you with your lead generation. I'm like, that's what we do. I go, please go to bdr.ai and just see what we do. The one thing to comment there, a good app, it's a friend of mine called Fly Message, FLYMSG. It's a Chrome plugin. When you go to LinkedIn, you can go in the comments and you say, I'd like to comment on this post that Kelly made. Curious, thoughtful, there's about 5 different prompts, and it looks at ChatGPT on the back. All you do is click a button, it reads the whole article, and then it comments for you. If you don't like it, then you say, okay, regenerate, and it'll build a new one, and then you can edit on top. I have found that, and I don't know if this is just in my head or random chance or what, but my replies, I'm getting 11 to 15 replies from my LinkedIn outreach now, where before I was getting 2 or 3 every other day. Now I'm getting 10 to 12 a day. I wonder if it's changed the algorithm in my messaging communications, because now I'm being more friendly by commenting on other people's posts. So I carve out 10 minutes twice a week to go in and click the button and comment on people's posts. And it's interesting, right? There's good posts, but I don't want to necessarily read the entirety of the 10 paragraphs.
Yeah.
So the AI reads it, comments, and then there's my blurb about what the article just said, right? It's really a neat thing.
Well, and I think that's what's so important about collaboration groups is the knowledge share, the little tips that you picked up, and someone didn't notice it, but you keep adding little pieces to your jigsaw puzzle that everybody else is working on that now gets 6, 7 times as many pieces coming through, or understandings. And to your point about LinkedIn doesn't pay creators anything. They've got a few programs that are very small that they pay some people, but what they pay you is organic reach. But what they also find is there's not that many creators who want to create here when you can make money over there. So what they do is they create programs like the Top Voice, right? What they're encouraging you to do is keep up with content. So they know that they have a low percentage of content creators. That stimulates that. The newsletters, they know that the more people that publish them are creating content for them and then creating an audience to read them, which again is more interaction. So LinkedIn tells you where they want you to be, and they support you if you get there on time. And then the SSI score kind of tells you if you're getting too aggressive in what you're doing. So I think it's really a matter of measuring twice, cutting once by sharing on a regular basis. This is a Monday through Friday basis. So, this group is getting better because the group is getting smarter every day with each other to make everybody else better, and everybody kind of co-elevates together. Minerva comes back with, we're living in strange times, and yes, futuristic indeed, but bots define our lives. They're way ahead and rules us. Are we ready for end times information? What about our human intelligence? Those are questions. I think the answer is peer-to-peer support and collaboration. You can help the person next to you. You can't change the world by just wanting to, but you can do something. And the best thing you can do is get your true voice amplified to relevant audiences who want to support you and you want to support, and it becomes a team effort. The reason why most people quit is it's lonely, doing it all by yourself and not getting any encouragement or recognition, especially if you're in a longer term game than you anticipated. A lot of people don't get what they want because they haven't yet earned it or deserve it, right? No one really cares about your financial needs. It has nothing to do with the quality of your work or the quantity of your work. No different if you won a lottery. Everybody needs to do something to get something. But I think to what we've learned, and it's not just what we like, it really is what works best, is helping people get on the right track. If they have the desire, if they have the determination. And that changes everything, because there's so many entitled people who got to where they were because something just happened to be the right thing at the right time. And there's so many people who couldn't get by the gatekeeper, couldn't really get seen, and more, unfortunately, didn't have a support group that they were around. Didn't have a family that motivated them and told them you're going to be great and we believe in you. And recognition means everything. and it gives you enough to keep going maybe one more day. So it is a game of perseverance. It's a game of being flexible, being able to pivot and change as soon as something better shows up. But once you get there, you get better at everything you do because those same principles, those same disciplines start to apply. So 55 minutes into it, Chad, first time here. I think it was a real valuable opportunity for all of us to exchange what we came with, but are not going home with the same thing. So Chad,
before we go, let me share this with you on a screen share. Check this out. I'm assuming the screen share is going to work.
yeah, okay, I'll bring it in.
Good.
So this is Kelly's post about the live stream today, right? So all I did while we were talking here is I clicked on the little button and said generate a comment. So I'm excited to learn more about how LinkedIn live streaming can help businesses engage with a global audience, boost their visibility. I'll be tuning into the conversation with Donald, Chad, Russ, and you this morning at 11 Eastern time. Thanks for sharing. Little light bulb effect. So how cool is that, right? I didn't have to go. I could do thoughtful, curious, custom, and it just instantly, very quickly writes it up and generates that kind of a response. So I thought you guys would appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's what is available. So people are waiting for something, it's already there. And if people are waiting to figure it out, people are there who already are there. So the idea, and we talk about it all the time, is connection. Some people take it superficially. I'm a first degree connection. I'm connected to this person. The connection is actually integrating and working together in some way and building relationships. Just what Chad showed is a much preferable comment than great post, talk to you later. And actually I saw someone talking on LinkedIn that they're starting to penalize those. So you're better off with no comment than great post. They're just starting to say, hey, it looks like it's either an engagement pod or someone's not taking the time or energy to interact. So they look for.
That's right. Or it's just a bot, easy response.
That's right. So they're looking for 2-3 lines personalized, because here's the thing, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. Right? They're one of the leaders in AI. They know what you're doing better than you know what you're doing. And it's not hard to figure that out because you don't do that much to have to track. So anyways, final words, Chad?
Thank you. I would say 600 and something days in a row is impressive. Having done 250 or so podcasts myself in 4 years, I can only imagine 600 in 2 years. So congratulations. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with everyone.
Well, thank you. Very appreciated. One side note, I'll say that I was fortunate to have some of the most wonderful people with me on every one of those shows, 1 or 2 or 3, which made it a gift to me. It's only work when you're not getting enough back, right? But if it gives you purpose, but more importantly, if it brings opportunity to people, if you open one door that makes a difference, that's a life, that's a family, that's a community that could ripple. We can make changes by just sharing that, hey, I was just like you until I figured this out. And now I can even help you because I didn't have the help I have to give today to give to me when I started. But, if you look at it like an adventure, like, hey, this could be a one hell of a magic carpet ride. How good does that get? Plus, you can always go back to where you were, and you never do. Right? And that's the thing. So, Kelly, this is like 104 or 105 now or more, probably more because of 2 times a week.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there's a few times it was probably 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah, it's crazy to think. Yeah, this was so much fun for me for so many reasons. And I'm sure we probably talked about a few things that people are like, you lost me when you started saying this. Do take notes and write it down and reach out to us and ask questions. And I say this a lot. We're not here because we're trying to be private. We are here because we're trying to help people. So just remember that this was super fun for me, again, for so many reasons. Chad, you and I definitely need to chat, for sure. And as I always end, is please go out and shine so bright that others can't help but shine too.
Well, I'm with that. So thank you again, Chad. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, audience. Come back tomorrow if you can, because we're going to have two just unbelievable individuals here with Julian Roberts and also Mike Verrett, who's been here before. Both of them are doing some fantastic things. Julian is out there in England, and Mike has a system or a process that's really incredible too. So with that said, see y'all in 23 hours if possible. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.